Welcome to the As Yet Untitled podcast.
With your hosts, Toni and Shaun.
Hello,
Hello.
it's us. We are back yet again.
Ah, yes. It's been a month.
Yep. Or maybe a few minutes if you've already listened to a podcast a few minutes ago.
We don't know your timeline.
Yeah. Or years. Who knows? Or maybe never before.
Yeah.
If you are new, yeah, welcome. Hi. We are the people that host this podcast, and we talk at you. And we say things and give you information about stuff and things. You should follow us.
Yeah.
So,
Today's episode will be a little bit less information and a little bit more just getting to know us, because here we are in season 2 and you know a lot about what we like, but you don't know much about us.
I guess you're right. Well, if you're interested in drummers, music, etc., then this podcast is going to be perfect for you, at least this episode, because today I'm going to be the one mainly talking, and I'm going to talk about the people that inspired me to become a drummer, because I play the drums. I am a drummist.
You know how those drummists are.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm talking about some inspirational people and things that have made me want to be a drummer and continue to make me want to be a drummer and learn more and do the things. And in the next episode, Toni will be the one chatting at you.
I'll be taking the reins, giving you a bit more information about me and why I am a photographer and who inspired me to do so.
A photographist.
Photographist.
Yep.
That would be it.
So yeah, might as well just dive straight in, shall we?
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say as like a preemptive thingy thing?
A little bit. I'm gonna try to avoid mentioning like general incredible people and celebrities and historical figures and stuff. I'm gonna try and focus on talking about drummers or the people that have directly influenced my career as a drummer, or allowed me to become the drummer that I am today, essentially.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and you're gonna have hopefully you'll have a bunch of people that you can go Google and check out, and bands and stuff. It should be interesting for you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. All right, I'll just dive straight in, right?
Straight away.
Nice. So I'm going to go as chronologically as possible, for the most part.
Right.
And I'm not going to say everything. Like, I'm not going to go through my whole list of every inspiration I've ever had, because I've taken inspiration from, like, thousands of different bands, drummers, musicians, comics, artists, scientists.
Sounds from things falling on the floor.
Yeah. Just like a bird flying past the window. Like, inspiration comes from everywhere, right? So I'm just going to try and stick to specifically the people that have allowed me to progress in drumming the most.
Yeah.
Right? So let's start where it all began. So the reason that I started playing drums, I started quite late. Most people that become professional drummers tend to have started quite young. But I didn't start until I was 14, 15. Mainly because I was a bit of a little shit. And
Understatement.
and I didn't really have that many hobbies that weren't just being a little shit. And a friend of mine...
drumming will stop that.
A friend of mine who I hung out with all the time, Aaron. Shout out to Aaron. Aaron Parsonage, a.k.a. Crazy Aaron. He's a childhood friend of mine. We hung out all the time. He played drums. He had a drum kit in his house, and, he played it, allowed me to try out on his kit a little bit. He never, taught me anything, per se, but just seeing him play drums and me being able to have a go on it kind of gave me the idea, hey, I could give this a try myself. So, if it wasn't for him existing and having a drum kit, I probably would never even started drumming, and I never would be where I am today. So
Mad respect to Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
For having an annoying musical instrument and allowing Shaun to be annoying with a musical instrument.
Well, me and Aaron have always been annoying. It's part of our charm. So yeah, I wouldn't have even started without him. So that's when he's the first person that kind of got me the idea. Then I got myself a little electric kit, started practicing and stuff. And then in secondary school, my music teacher, Mike Eldred, who is a legend. I love him.
Nice.
He helped me have time at school to be able to learn the drums, and he actually pushed me to try and pursue drumming despite him not even knowing anything about drums. He was a musician, but he didn't play drums, he didn't know anything about it, but he saw that I enjoyed it and, had somewhat of a knack for it, so he actually pushed me to do it. even though my school barely even had a functioning drum set. Like, they were all broken, they barely worked, but, you know, whenever I was in trouble at school, he tried to get me out of it as much as possible and kind of just pushed me into the drum room so I could mess around on the drum kit. And he actually set up my first ever drum performance at school, which was part of, like, my GCSEs.
Oh, that's nice.
So, like, yeah, Aaron gave me the idea of drumming. Mike Eldred allowed me to, you know, he pushed me to actually try to learn it properly and taught me about music in general.
Giving you the facilities to do so.
Yeah.
As well.
And then from there, where I actually started learning drums, right, instead of just playing around, when I started learning online for free. My family didn't have that much money, so at first, on my little acoustic kit that was crappy, and then later my first acoustic kit, not acoustic, I started on electric, then I went to acoustic. My acoustic kit, I instantly got noise abatement orders because my neighbours sucked. But, yeah, online is where I first started learning drums, teaching myself. And one of the biggest places online that I feel like if you're a drummer, you definitely have heard of, and you probably have watched lessons of as well. And that's Drumeo. And Jared Falk, who, you know, runs Drumeo. Like, they post loads of free content.
Yeah.
And I used all of their free content, and I still do today, to teach myself. Like, it allowed me to just sit there, watch YouTube, and then just practice and learn from them, and learn from all different, like, famous drummers, because they have loads of big-time educators and drummers in the drum world coming in and, like, you know, teaching things.
Yeah, their reach goes out so far, like, even with just, like, the people they get involved. Like, I've seen some of these videos, and just, like, you know, Michael Jackson's drummer coming in just to give you a little, like, just a little lesson on what he does and why he does it. It's not just about how to drum, but different...
It's masterclasses from the best that there are.
Yeah.
So I feel like I learned so much from those, and I still do now. And I also learned from some other online educators like Stephen Taylor, and just watching drummers online like Maytel Cohen, Cobus, Matt Maguire, Luke Holland, and there are others as well. So yeah, because I didn't have a lot of money as a kid, that helped me out big time, and it still does. I use it all the time to continue learning and you know, teaching my students. I mean, my family helped a lot to try and make sure I could have as many resources as possible, but for the most part, I just used as many free resources as there was. So without the internet and content like Drumeo, I would be nowhere near as skilled as I am right now. So I probably wouldn't have ever got anywhere with it, and I would have given up pretty early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still, to this day, regularly use drum videos from my favourite drummers online to inspire me, or just to watch while I'm doing a warm-up or eating breakfast or something. And obviously, I can use those videos to steal as many cool ideas as possible to make my drumming better.
That's all ideas are. Just rehashing of other people's ideas.
Exactly. But I feel like Jared Falk and the Drumeo team are by far the biggest online resource that I used and still use to get better at drums.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of my inspiration. And then we come to like the in-person teaching. So this is where my family paid for me to actually have drum lessons with a private instructor so I could get my grades, my music grades. And my drum teacher, Glenn Burton, shout out Glenn. He's a great teacher. He taught me all of my drum grades while I was at secondary school and like early on in college. And being able to do those drum grades allowed me to study music at college, which allowed me to practice more and get further along with it.
Yeah.
And without those drum grades, I might not have, you know, done music at college or even go on to uni to do music.
Yeah.
So yeah, Glenn helped me out big time with doing those grades, and I teach my student grades all the time. They're a great like resource, especially if, you know, you want to get some extra UCAS points or whatever it is, the equivalent in your country. Just to get some more points that you can actually get into, you know, higher levels of education, and they're really handy.
Well, you just reminded me that I went through my UCAS thing with like the lowest points you could go through. Oh.
I mean, I had loads. I was lucky because I'm a smart ass little fucker.
Yeah, you're a smart ass, and you also had a lot of these like extra.
Yeah, my drum grades. Yeah, yeah. So Glenn helped me out big time. Okay, so the next lot of things on my list aren't people in my career field, but there is no way I would be here today without their help, and they're probably the biggest factor in my drumming story, and that's like my family, right? First off, my auntie Hilda, who passed away. Her support and her inheritance allowed me to get an electric kit, the Roland TD30, which meant that I could practice more, even when I got a noise abatement order because my neighbors hated me. And like getting that kit allowed me to be able to practice daily, which I never had before. And you know, that helped me get into uni so I could learn even more, and it allowed me to make videos, which I still make all the time. And I actually still use it to teach my students now and make videos, so I'm earning almost all of my money now thanks to the fact that I have this TD30.
Yeah, it's mad to think because she passed away before I even met you, which I met you over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So to think that you was able to get this piece of equipment because of your Auntie Hilda, and then now
it's still an impact on my life now.
You managed to get a piece of industry standard equipment that has impacted your life more than anything. Like, because without it, you couldn't be anywhere near where you are now.
Without it, I wouldn't be a good drummer. I wouldn't be able to make videos. I wouldn't have been able to practice or take it to uni to practice. I wouldn't be able to teach online through COVID. I'd be screwed without it.
Yeah.
So it is by far the biggest thing that's changed anything. And on top of that, like, there's my other my mum, my dad, and my grandparents who helped me pay or paid for my drum lessons to get my grades. And my granddad especially always drove me to all of my exams and my lessons and just sat outside and waited.
Yeah.
If I didn't have him taking me to all these things, I wouldn't have got there. I wouldn't have been able to do them. So yeah, I've got to say thanks to my mum and my granddad for helping me do all that stuff. And also just putting up with the noise of having a drummer as a family member or living in a house with you.
It's a struggle.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, after school and college and that, then it's me going into uni, right? I went to a music uni. I went to ACM, the Academy of Contemporary Music, which I have mixed opinions about, but for the most part, I didn't like it. But my number one uni teacher was Toby Drummond. He's an amazing drummer, really down-to-earth guy, and him and the drum syllabus that him and a few others created at ACM was a massive help in me improving my skills.
Yeah.
Despite my overwhelming opinion, my underwhelming opinion of ACM as a whole. So I would definitely recommend Toby to anyone looking for drum lessons in Guildford, especially if you're into rock or musical theatre, because he has like loads of experience in those. But yeah, if it wasn't for him and the syllabus at ACM, I wouldn't have progressed as much in a short amount of time, I feel like. Because I had so much time to practice, and with the syllabus that they set up, it really helped. There's a lot of free content, basically. And I still use a lot of it now to teach as well. So then now we've gone through the teachers that I've had, which aren't that many, really. It's Mike, who wasn't even a drummer, Glenn, who got me my grades, Toby Drummond, who taught me a bit at uni. For the most part, I'm self-taught, using the internet, etc., and just playing with people and listening. So the next one I feel like is probably my biggest inspiration in drumming by far. This is where the drummers come into it. And that's Benny Greb.
Well, yeah.
I love Benny Greb. His books, his music, his videos, they have all contributed to my learning and my goals in drumming. I've gone through all of his Art and Science of Groove DVD. I'm always working through the Language of Drumming book, as well as teaching it to my students. I had the pleasure of meeting Benny at a clinic where he signed my sticks and I got a photo with him.
So, clinic sounds like the wrong word for that.
Well, that's what they're called, like a drum clinic. It's like a masterclass.
I know it's the right word, but it just met him at a clinic sometimes. What on earth was you guys
I paid to see him at a masterclass. He's like one of the nicest guys, super humble, down to earth. I feel like everyone says that about him. And he's just a phenomenal drummer. He's constantly inspiring me with like his creativity and groove. So much so that I actually have his signature Vic Firth sticks signed by him when I met him, hung on my wall directly below my degree.
Yeah.
Like just to constantly inspire me, right?
Yeah.
His drumming is incredible, and it constantly is making me want to be more musical. And when I hear his drumming, it makes me want to play drums, right? He's by far the biggest drummer that's impacted me, I feel like, in my modern, in the modern day and now. Not necessarily when I was a kid, but, through uni and stuff. Yeah, he's my biggest influence, I reckon. All right, so now I'm going to talk about a couple of bands and musicians that inspired me as a drummer, more than any others. So I'll start with some from when I was a kid, right? So when I was a kid, I feel like my favourite band of all time, and they might still be there now, is Rage Against the Machine.
I would definitely say they were still your favourite band. You go mad anytime they do anything.
They're incredible. So Brad Wilk, their drummer, obviously is someone that inspired me to play drums and still does. I've
Yeah.
covered loads of their songs. You should go check them out on my YouTube. They're just awesome. Then there's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, their funk rock stuff. Chad Smith is an incredible drummer and looks exactly like Will Ferrell, so there's just a bonus.
Such an inspiration. He looks like Will Ferrell.
Exactly. But yeah, he's just got so much groove. And then Joey Jordason from Slipknot as well. Like, and now, you know, their new drummer as well.
Yeah.
But
is he the one that passed away?
no, Joey Jordan's there was the
Okay.
bassist that passed away, Paul
right.
Gray. But no, Joey Jordan, he's just no longer their drummer. But yeah, when I was a kid, he was their drummer, and he was a massive inspiration. I loved Slipknot as a kid, and you know, as well as other bands. But I feel like mainly Brad Wilk, Chad Smith, and Joey Jordason. When I was a kid, not really knowing much about drums, it probably inspired me the most to want to play drums and want to learn their stuff.
Yeah.
Despite the Slipknot stuff being incredibly hard. Okay, so now there's a few drummers that I've seen at masterclasses that have inspired me loads just from going to their masterclasses, and that's Craig Blundell. He's a British drummer. He does crazy odd time signature stuff, and that's inspired me to do loads of odd time stuff as well. He's like ridiculous. He's like the king of prog,
Yeah.
or up there with the king of prog. So Craig Blundell is great. Then there's Chris Coleman, who is again one of like the nicest guys in the industry, and he just has chops for days. Like, he can just shred behind a kit, and that's...
Okay, you're going to have to explain what chops are to those who do not understand.
Okay, chops is just a drum term for just, like, you know, crazy stuff on the drums, basically.
Right.
You know, as layman as it can get. It's just crazy stuff all around the kit. And he's just insane. So that inspired me for me to just pick up my chops, get some gospel stuff going down. And then, obviously, Benny Greb from his clinic for all of my groove and musicality.
And posture. I learned a lot about posture when we went to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important.
Yeah, like it's the little things that a lot of these people can teach you that can also be applied elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it is things like getting your posture right, how to listen to things differently. There was one person that we watched a video together, and it was like, you have to remember when to take away from something, not to always add to it.
And there's
that's something I apply a lot in my own life. Just
Yeah.
like remember when to take away from something you're creating, because you can overwork it. Take something out.
Space is important.
Yeah.
And there's also like breathing exercises and stuff like that, which are useful. They're the masterclasses I've been to that I've taken the most inspiration from. So now I'm gonna list a bunch of drummers that inspire me and I love loads today. It's impossible to list all of them because there are literally thousands. But I'm just gonna tell you the top ones at the moment that I just can't stop getting inspired by. You should definitely go check them out. And I'm not going to include the ones that I've already spoken about, so we'll just go for it. So, Sarah Thora, I think it's Sarah Thalwa. She is a phenomenal drummer. She inspired me to learn loads of Indian rhythms on the drum kit, and also mixing world rhythms with like R&B and hip hop. She does it all the time. She's awesome.
Indian rhythms are very like
Complicated.
Yeah, like they don't stick to like what we would consider like a normal structure.
Yeah, it's very different from Western music. But yeah, mixing these different world rhythms with our style of hip hop and R&B and like normal Western music, it's really fun. And she's just a really fun person to watch play the drums as well. She's awesome.
She seems very welcoming.
Yeah, I would agree. And then there's another drummer, Annika Niles, German drummer. Yeah. She is incredible. She inspired me to learn how to like properly play quintuplets and septuplets. For drummers out there, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. Not drummers. For people that aren't drummers, you wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about.
God, but these drummers have no idea what's going on right now.
But for the drummers, quintuplets and septuplets are hard to do well anyway. They're hard to get sounding good, and she does it all the time, and it really inspired me to try and learn how to do that and use it in my own playing.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Then we have Stanton Moore, who's just got groove for days. Jost Nickel, German guy who has just phenomenal groove as well. Bernard Purdy, who invented the shuffle. Like, the shuffle is something I play all the time, and he's such a fun drummer, and he's just so good. He's got so much just understanding of music. He's played on so many different, like, classic rock and blues music.
Just want to say, as someone who's not a drummer, shuffles are one of my favourite thing because they just sound so fun.
Yeah, they're awesome. Then David Garibaldi from Tower of Power. He is just a funk legend, and his stuff is so hard to play. Stanley Randolph, who plays for Stevie Wonder, he's incredible. Ash Sohn, British guy who can shuffle ridiculously good. He played on The Voice UK and is like a Devil's drummer and all sorts, but his drumming is just incredible. Then there's Nate Smith, who is again just a phenomenal like hip hop player. For metal drumming, I've been massively impressed by Matt Gartzka from Animals as Leaders. He is just beyond most normal comprehension. Einup Seistri and Alex Rudinger. They are just beastie. Their double kick is phenomenal. They are so fast and creative, and they're awesome. And then obviously there's like the classic legends of like Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, the jazz gods who essentially invented proper drumming. I have to shout out to those because they have inspired me loads, and watching their solos and stuff has definitely helped me, especially with my jazz.
It's one of those things where like you got to look back to the roots to truly understand what's going on. And
the stuff they're doing is still like most people can't play it still because they were ridiculous.
Exactly.
And then we have the go-to, the rock legend John Bonham.
Yes.
Inspired me to drum with my hands and hit real hard, and doing the Bonham triplets that he does and stuff. It's really good. John Bonham's from Led Zeppelin, for those of you who don't know. Then there's Clyde Stubblefield and John Jabbo Starks, who are James Brown's drummers, who are I love every James Brown groove. Essentially invented hip hop. If it wasn't for their grooves, hip hop wouldn't exist. Yeah, they're just so good. They're so fun to play as well.
Yeah.
So I love those guys. And then there's Steve Gadd. Steve Gadd is like every drummer on the planet is like, yes, Steve Gadd is God. And I agree because he has just ridiculous feel. His playing with Paul Simon especially, I love that.
Oh yeah.
He's so creative. He does so much stuff with his left foot that most people don't do. He knows when to take away.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just a ridiculous drummer.
Just an example of specifically like what you're saying, would be 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Yeah, that's the most famous one. Because
like it is so drum forward in a song, but it's also like it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like you can listen to it as someone who is not a drummer and appreciate so much what is happening.
And it's a groove that isn't normal. Like you wouldn't normally hear it, but it doesn't take away from the music. It adds to the music, and it's awesome.
It's also just an icon. To me, I feel like it's an iconic drum thing because it is so forward in the.
It is iconic, and also I've covered that as well. So you should go check that on YouTube. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
If you're already on YouTube, these are going to be pretty easy to just like find.
If not, it's not hard to find me on YouTube. You can go check us out on at the As Yet Untitled podcast, and there's links all over the place.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on. So drummers that inspired me. We've got here's an obvious one: Animal from the Muppets.
Yes.
Like forever, everyone loves Animal from the Muppets. He's the go-to, and I relate to him. Let's be real.
The OG metalhead.
I also love a YouTube drummer called Matt Maguire. His electronic drum remixes, along with Michael Shack and Luke Holland's EDM drum remixes, have inspired me loads to play with like electronic music and samples. And they've given me so many cool ideas that I use all the time. Nowhere near as good as them, but I'm working on it, okay? I've also taken like loads of inspiration from samples and like drum machine based tracks, like from hip hop, jungle, electronic stuff, dubstep, etc. Like the computer based things.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff that wasn't created by drummers, but they sound awesome. Like people like Jay Dilla. Stuff like that. It's crazy stuff, and I try and copy that stuff a lot. I really like loop-based drum ideas that sound cool no matter how many times you play them.
Yeah.
They're just fun, and they feel nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the main drummers that have inspired me. Only thing I've got... Well, the next thing I want to talk about is kind of... Like, obviously, you can't be a drummer without music.
Yeah.
Music is the most important part, right? So even though these drummers have inspired me loads in my drumming... I've probably gained more inspiration from music itself. So I've got a list, just a few artists that have inspired me and continue to inspire me as a drummer. Because music is the ultimate inspiration for me as a drummer, because it has to be. Obviously, again, I had to cut the majority out because otherwise I would literally be listing artists forever, because I take inspiration from thousands of different artists and genres. But I feel like here are the main ones that I have listened to pretty much non-stop for most of my adult and teen life, and they've given me the most inspiration.
Yeah.
Some of them you might think are cringy, but that's your problem. So here we go.
They will do that. They will do their job.
Yeah, and they're from all different styles, because I can't just stick with one style. I can't.
No.
I love metal, reggae, hip hop, all sorts. I can't. Even in one day, I have to listen to like 5 different genres. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm missing out. There's too much music out there to stick to just one. So anyway, in no particular order, My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
I love the drumming and all of the music that they've got going on. I listen to them all the time as a teenager. Still listen to them now. Their stuff holds up. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, as I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Just incredible hip hop rock drumming. Flowbots, so groovy. It's live band hip hop stuff. Really meaningful lyrics.
Very
loads of different rhythms.
politically charged.
Yeah, very politically charged in the same way as like Rage. But yeah, they're phenomenal. And a violinist.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. You should go check them out. They're one of my favorite bands. I love them. Then there's Paramore. Great band, especially good for if you play like pop, punk, rock, alternative stuff.
Yeah.
And their drummer is a really good drummer. He comes up with parts that most people wouldn't think of. So they're a great one. I've got a few Paramore covers that you can check out too. Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be into metal or into metal drumming without loving Slayer. Like, they're insane. Like, the double kick... they essentially invented the whole idea of this crazy thrash metal drumming. And, yeah, blast beats and whatnot. So, gotta have Slayer on this list. Then there's Faith No More. Just incredible. Like, the varieties of the music that they have, it goes all over the place. Yeah, and the grooves are just brilliant. More modern band now, Ginger. They're a metal band from Poland, I believe. Female fronted, although she screams way better than most men do. She is phenomenal. And the band is just incredible. Like, they're unique, heavy as hell, really clever drum patterns. Then we have, going back to the old school, James Brown. As I mentioned earlier, the grooves from Jabbo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield are like some of my favourite grooves of all time.
Yeah.
I love it. They just make you want to dance.
Yeah. That's a very important thing.
Exactly.
Music.
And he created funk.
Yeah.
And essentially then created hip hop because of that. And so, funk and hip hop are 2 of my favourite genres of all time. Gotta have him on that. Then we have Bob Marley.
Everybody loves Bob Marley.
Everyone does, yeah, exactly. And yeah, he had a few different drummers depending on the era, but yeah, it's as far as reggae drumming and reggae in general goes, Bob Marley's at the top of the list, right? You got to have him there. Then we go into country now.
Oh, God.
The greatest country artist of all time, in my opinion. It may be pretty basic for most of you, but I don't care. Johnny Cash.
Yes.
Phenomenal. And yeah, most of my kind of country-based playing comes from Johnny Cash and, the... oh, God, what are they called? What are they called? What's Johnny Cash's band called?
I have no idea. I can't think.
Oh, no, my brain. What is it? Johnny Cash and the... Brain, please. The Flaming... No. What is it? Why is my...
Sure, I don't know who you're talking about, but okay.
What are they called? I don't know. Anyway, I'll carry on. So yeah, but anyway, Johnny Cash, as far as my country music goes, like, I listen to a decent amount of country, but Johnny Cash is by far the best.
Yeah.
I listen to him all the time, my granddad as well. Okay, back to some more modern ones. This one I discovered actually from a TV show, and it's on our playlist. It's on our playlist episode. what am I talking about? The soundtrack episode.
Yes.
Back me up here, Toni.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm trying to find a band for Johnny Cash.
Well, yeah, Tennessee 3, yeah. The Highwaymen. No, the Highwaymen was like a super group, but they were incredible. So yeah, so as I was saying, the TV show is Kipo.
Yes.
And I discovered this artist who is a rapper from South Africa. Her name is Dope St. Jude, and she is.
And she lives up to the name.
Yeah, she is. She is dope. She is insane. Like the instrumentals are really cool, like poppy electronic stuff, but they hit hard. Like they're so good.
One thing I would say about the music, like how to describe the music, is it makes you want to dance around in your underwear.
Yeah, sure. And if it makes you want to dance around in your underwear, chances are it's got some sick drums.
It makes you feel empowered enough to dance around in your underwear.
I have since watching Kipo, I've regularly put Dope St. Jude on and just played through all of her songs on the drums. They are so fun. Like a lot of trap beats and stuff in there. They're really cool. And then another one that I discovered from Kipo, Atomic Drum Assembly. They are so good.
Another one that lives up to the name.
Yeah, it's mostly like electronic stuff, but it goes so hard. It's really good. Then we have this band is controversial. Most people probably wouldn't like them, but I love them. People that love them really love them. Rolo Tomasi.
Yes.
They've been often described as Nintendo core, math core. Basically,
it's hard.
It's heavy. It's real heavy and complicated, and there's synths and heavy guitars and screaming vocals, and I mean they're really good. But I can't play them because most of the time the timing is all over the place and it's impossible to tell what's going on. But I love it.
At times it does seem like every member of the band is doing their own thing together.
Yeah, but it works perfectly.
Yes.
They're so good and they do inspire me a lot, but it's real hard to play that stuff. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I have Charlotte Day Wilson, who is one of the most beautiful, calm artists of all time. She's so good. Multi-instrumentalist from, I'm just going to say America because I can't remember where. But she is just, her voice is incredible.
Her voice is so relaxing and deep.
Yeah. And the instrumentals work so well behind it, and they're so sparse, and the drums are sparse but really clever. I love it. So good.
Charlotte Day Wilson, I remember like we've been listening to her for quite a while, and then one time we was watching Grace and Frankie.
Yeah.
And then one of her songs just shows up in the middle of it, and it worked so beautifully to make a really like cinematic shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Charlotte Day Wilson really has that like atmospheric vibe to her music.
Yeah. Then I have another one of my big childhood ones, Linkin Park. Linkin Park are incredible. Like, you've got the heavy-hitting metal drums and guitars, but you also got the hip-hop stuff in there. Notice how there's a lot of, like, I like when genres have that cross between them.
Yeah.
And they do it well. Then we have Skindred. Again, so many genres mixed together there. And I fucking love it. I've seen Skindred live, and they were incredible at Download. They were
Skindred
awesome.
Live, like that was such a experience because everyone around was just hit. Like, everyone around you was feeling the exact same like vibe.
Yeah, everyone doing the Newport helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah, Skindred are phenomenal. For those of you who don't know, they're like a rock meets reggae, jungle, hip hop, metal band, but they're so good. Then there's Alanis Morissette. I love Alanis Morissette. She's, if Kevin Smith couldn't portray her as God, then she must be good. And she is. Her music is incredible, and it's unique, and the drums are good.
Yeah.
And it's just good. It's like, American pop fused with other stuff. Then we have Sublime. Just,
Sublime.
Good old-fashioned ska, reggae sort of stuff. Love it. Slipknot, as I mentioned earlier, just heavy as shit, and the drums are so clever and fast, and there's so much going on, and there's like percussion over the top. It's awesome. Then A Day to Remember. Again, just heavy as shit breakdowns, but like fast pop punk drumming as well.
Yeah.
Really good. And then Frank Turner. Frank Turner it's simple, but it's effective.
Frank Turner himself is very versatile.
Yeah.
Because he has this really, like, sweet music he makes, but then he also has his, like, politically charged music.
Then he has, like,
and then
Mongol
he also
Horde,
has
the
Mongol
hardcore
Horde,
band.
the other band that he has.
Yeah. But they're all good.
He seems like such a decent guy.
Yeah. Right, so, yeah, that's basically it. That's for the most part. I mean, I've definitely missed a bunch of artists that inspire me most. Like, you know, most classic hip-hop, most funk and soul, tons more. Like, I could have kept going forever. So, yeah, to summarize, my biggest inspiration for becoming and continuing to be a drummer is, first and foremost, my family, my various drum tutors, both in person or online, and just a bunch of phenomenal drummers and musicians from all over the world.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, they're my inspirations. Let me know if you want to add to that list. If you have people, if you're a drummer specifically, if you have big people that inspired you, I would love to check them out.
Music recommendations, if you know of anything that really fits what we've discussed here.
Yeah, or if you
From us.
want to add or agree or disagree to any of my opinions, go ahead. Let us know. You can let us know in the comments on our YouTube or on any of our social medias at the As Yet Untitled podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yep, there is also a part 2 to this episode in which I will be talking about who inspired me to be a photographer, because I'm a photographer.
So yeah, it's a nice and short one, but you can do just a back-to-back one of me chatting shit about drums and then Toni chatting shit about photography.
Yeah, do what you want.
Right, hope you're doing well, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yep, goodbye.
Peace.